Hey, Pasto. Hair's all messed up. Let's get out of the shower. Hmm. Harry, I just saw your thing on Facebook, Harry. No 20-year-olds. Yeah, I just literally just saw that right now. What's up, Harry? Harry from Oklahoma. Who knew that Harry is in Oklahoma? Don't forget you got that magical wrench, Harry. So if someone starts acting crazy, ban them. Say, all right, you're gone, baby. We got Sean's in Ohio. Fast Eddie, who thinks I'm dyeing my hair. And I don't. Should dye my eyebrows, right? Fast Eddie is what we should do. Dye my eyebrows. All right. So this is the first time I've ever been on. Oh man, we already got 3 people on Twitter. Never been on Twitter before. I just got a shower a couple, about 20 minutes ago because I was working out. I was running. So what I do is I do a mile on the treadmill at an incline of 7, and then I do push-ups, sit-ups, and today I was doing squats. Do another mile. I don't run. I walk. Incline of 7. I do it for a whole mile. That's what I'm saying. So either mile or 200 calories. David Scott, Texas, Boss Weed from Wisconsin. David from the North Carolina coast. Right on, right on. And you sweat, man. You sweat pretty good. And so I do 40 to 50 push-ups, 30 sit-ups, and then today just with squats 185. And I'm 182, so I'd like to do more squats. But we got Pam's in the house, right on. Pam in the house, right on. Maine in the house, Nebraska. All right, all right. Anyway, so I said I got to take a shower. I was initially not even going to take a shower and just do this live stream. I said, nah. We got Everett from Western North Carolina. What Hendo? Is that Henderson? Bo D. Bo Diddy. DB Douglas. Do you smoke yourself? I don't smoke. I don't smoke. I used to many moons ago. Literally just got back from my 7-mile walk, says Christopher. Right on, man. J. Jill Melvano from West Virginia. Vaughn Hendersonville, guy. That's what they call it. Hendo. Hendersonville. TJ from Seattle. Look at Thomas Soul's in the house, man. Look at Thomas Soul. Right on. We should be getting around 150 minutes of brisk exercise a week. Got Paul from New Jersey. So Andrew's going to drop some science on us. We should be getting about 150 minutes of brisk exercise a week. So I try to do this every day, as a matter of fact. And I try to do it. And I can tell. I mean, I've lost weight. I stopped. I don't eat as much crap as I used to. And I've definitely lost weight. I try not to eat anything in the morning, really. I try to eat my first food should be around 11. Thomas says 11B, embracing the suck. Smoke was referring to the. Oh, gotcha. Right on. Gotcha. Okay, understood. So I smoke I gotcha. Right on. I wouldn't say I smoke myself, Thomas. I feel good though. You know what I'm saying? And I feel good when I'm done. Like it's one of those things you get in that routine that you feel if you don't do it, you don't feel good. And so what I try to do is like I said, always push-ups, always sit-ups, and then squats on one day, deadlifts on another day, bench press on another day, and pull-ups on the other day. I work out 6 days a week. I rest just like the Lord, says Pam. What's that? And so it just makes you, oh boy. Oh, okay. We're done now. Pulverizer's here. All right. So everybody just go back doing your other thing. Pulverizer's here. Do you guys think the NCAA women's or men's tournament is going to draw more attention? What do you guys think? So I've been following like Jason Whitlock and the guys at Outkick, excuse me. And it seems like there's a lot of people thinking the NCAA men's tournament is not going to be as popular as the NCAA women's tournament. You guys have any thoughts on that? I frankly really don't care about either, to be perfectly honest with you, which is a sad state of affairs. I was talking to a guy yesterday, and I said, oh, man, ACC tournament. And Maryland's in the Big East now. I was like, what the hell? Yeah, I can't imagine the women's tournament would be. I mean, I think if Caitlin Clark plays that chick from LSU, imagine that would be a pretty big thing. It's kind of like the Duke UNLV thing. Remember Duke versus UNLV in the old days? Duke had the white guys and UNLV had the black guys, and they started like I think they had Stacey Ogden. Was he on UNLV? Larry Johnson, Greg Anthony, a couple of these guys, but they were they started wearing I know Michigan started coming out with their baggy uniforms with Chris Webber and whatnot. Clark's the only draw. I can completely agree, Ted. Frankly, I just don't care. I don't care anything about Caitlin Clark. I don't care. I literally could care less. But I mean, you got to have a protagonist and antagonist. And you're going to back up Dave on the 8% safe withdrawal rate? No. What? Why would I ever do that? But you got to have a protagonist and antagonist. And so anytime you can make it racial, it's even better. You know what I'm saying? Then all the white libs will come out and say, oh, I can't support Caitlin Clark, because white libs want nothing. University of Hawaii got spanked. White libs want nothing more than for black people to say they're allies. Literally, a white lib, his only mission in life is to have a black guy, like, pat him on the head and say, you're one of ours, you're one of us. White libs will literally, they would rather have that than, hook up with a beautiful lady if you're white lib. And white women and men, the same thing. There's nothing worse in the world than a white lib, because they're the biggest fakers ever, man. Biggest fakers ever. And just, oh my goodness. And I'm just telling you right now, is that they just, because it's all virtue signaling. Look at me. I'm making people happy. I'm supporting the black guy against the white guy. Yeah, kind of like the Catholics versus the convicts at Notre Dame University of Miami. Yeah, that, and I, back then, perfectly honest with you, as a white lib, I think Catholics versus convicts was like 86 to 88. So I was still a liberal back then. So I'm sure I was going for Miami over, actually, when Boston College played Miami, I was still going for Boston College. I'm being from New England or whatnot. Bill Clinton, the first black president. Yeah. Celtic, you're going to leave. I think you're in Connecticut. You're going to retire to Haiti. It looks like a calm and peaceful place to be. You can join the Toussaint Revolution down there in Haiti. What I'm saying. White libs are the worst. Man. The problem with Twitter, whatever the hell it's called, X, it just is so, there's just so much, what's the word I'm looking for? Crap. So I've been on there for a week now. I just say it's so much vulgarity. There's no other way around. Just people just doing whatever they can to kind of stick out by being not just vulgar, but, just like, look, like there's one black guy that says white people. And I was like, I just don't care. I guess you can mute him. I don't know how to do that yet, but he's like, white people have never seen this. And someone else says, there's just the whole thing is just it's all fake, because people aren't like this. It's the weirdest thing. I'm sure there's some idiots like that, I grant you, but people, I'm just like, white people. The black guy will say white people. Like, I'm sure white people do the same thing. It's like, all it tries to do is get you sucked in. 100%. I completely agree. Twitter's full of bots pushing the SJW narratives. Just 100%. It's like, but they just want to get you roused. And it's like, I can see how people get nuts on it. But I'm watching this, I'm like, yeah, at this stage, I just don't care. So what you do is I don't comment. I mean, every now and again, you're sucked into it, though. Why are you an idiot, Michael? Why are you an idiot? No one called you an idiot. Why that? Michael says he's an idiot. Why do you say that? Houston, not Hawaii. Houston went, they only got 37 points? Yeah, but that's not the tournament yet, so who cares? I mean, who cares about this? 100%. People getting angry. People getting angry in the darkest hours. There's blood on the streets. The streets are ours, warriors. Never forget the warriors, warriors. That's what it is. People getting angry in the darkest hours. There's blood on the streets. That's a band called Blitz from England in like 1979. Houston only got freaking 37 points. Is that right? All right. So appreciate y'all being here. Much obliged. All right. So again, we got 5 people on Twitter. Hey, look at that. Crazy. The reason I jumped on Twitter, Houston took Houston. They talk about Haiti. Houston took a page from the Cowboys playoff playbook. Did you guys hear that Dak is being accused now of sexual whatever from 7 years ago? I mean, come on, ladies. If you've been look, how dare you question the victim? Yeah, I'm questioning the victim. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I mean, prove me to me otherwise. I don't buy it. We've had so many instances of men being accused falsely by ladies that my first response is, yeah, innocent until proven guilty, which is the way it's supposed to be. All right. Libs take the whole SWA rhetoric, but no, I mean, that's the thing. I'll never forget this story. 100%, dude. 100%. That's right. I'll never forget when we lived in Haddonfield, New Jersey, which is freaking fantastic. Loved Haddonfield. It's probably the best place I've ever lived. The neighbors are great. You could drop a freaking dime in the ground and you get a beautiful tomato plant. It was fantastic. Loved it. You could walk to school. You could walk to the trains. You could walk to downtown. It was great. Very much enjoyed the town. Pretty liberal. It's right in Camden County. So you had Camden, you had Cherry Hill, and you had Haddonfield. Anyway, what was I? But anyway, so I was sitting there at one of my kids' soccer games or baseball games, just my kid. And this guy from the Air Force came up. He sat next to me. He saw I had like a USA shirt, and he goes, "Oh, USA! Hey, USA! You know, I was in the military or whatever, the Air Force." I said, "Yeah." After I talked to him, I said, "Yeah, you're definitely in the Air Force guy." You know what I'm saying? But he was like, I said, "We just moved here." I said, "Oh, cool. Well, welcome to Haddonfield." He goes, "Oh, yeah, it's great. You know, it's just I wish it was a little bit more diverse. If it's more diverse, it'd be great." I said, "Dude." I just pointed over my shoulder. I said, Camden, New Jersey is literally right there. It's literally 5 miles away. You could go live in Camden, New Jersey and be all the diversity you want. He goes, well, you know, right now, the schools. I said, you big old clown. You don't play that crap with me. I'm not some freaking, I didn't wake up yesterday. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to virtue signal. I said, Can't. And he was like, well, the schools. And kind of he slinked away. I was like, man, you a big fat loser. Northeast Texas joined the fun. What I'm saying, if you accuse somebody and you're found that the accusation is wrong, you should have to go to jail. That's what we need, man. Crazy. It's insane how these people could just throw broad, you know, like that guy from the Buffalo Bills. You know, I'm just like crazy. You just throw these accusations. All right. So I want to get in my. All right. So what the. Because I know there'll be some. It's already 11 minutes and you haven't talked about anything yet. How dare you? Hey, Denise is in the chat. Right on. My typing thumbs aren't working well. Homer Simpson backing the bushes. Yeah, I love that. I love that meme. All right, so I want to. So before I erase all this stuff, I just kind of want to go back to this. And what we're going to do is we're going to compare 1994, 2004, and 2014 to Wellington and Wellesley. All right. Yeah. But Celtic, I got falsely. I had shackled. I mean, I was in the braces. You know what I'm saying? And for me, your old buddy Josh, I had to spend a night in the freaking little compound there in Arlington County. And then when it came to the court, chick never even showed up. I was like, well, and I talked to my lawyer. I said, can I sue her? He goes, yeah, if she has any money. I said, what? She just gets to accuse me, just walk away, not even show up to the freaking court case. It costs you probably $10,000. Yeah, just the way it is. That's freaking bullcrap. Because that's the magistrate. Magistrate determines if he thinks there's enough cause to go after it. I said, well, she just shows up with the crocodile tears? And I was like, this is freaking nuts, dude. Anyway, he said, well, you can, go after her, but do you have any evidence that, she, I said, I can't. Crazy. Our justice system is better than most things. It's just, we need to adopt some of the English thing where the loser pays, you know what I'm saying? Because there's no restriction on her ability to sue whoever the hell she wants, or not sue, but to get him arrested. There's nothing there other than some magistrate who I remember when I talked to him, I saw him, I said, where do I go? Because the cops brought me in, and he was just some curmudgeon, cranky guy who I could tell was sleeping. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could tell he's just like, and I was like, so I was like, how did this get determined? Well, apparently she went in there with a, and cops went down there. He said, yeah, it's a problem enough. Let's go arrest this guy and bring him up. And I was like, dude, it's crazy. And where's freaking Carl? Carl's like, you're always taking the side of the ladies. I said, no, I'm not. I am not taking the side of the ladies. That's just a fact, because I've been falsely accused myself. And it's better than the rest. We just need to put some loser pay stuff in there. I mean, if you're going to falsely accuse somebody and it turns out you're a lying packet, piece of freaking excrement, there needs to be some kind of penalty. That's just a fact. Yeah, plaintiff's attorney, 100%, dude, 100%, Paul. The plaintiff's attorney law would never let the loser pay take. Right, I could not agree more. Absolutely. And their argument is going to be somewhat right. They'll say no one will, sue against a company because the company's got a deep pockets if it looks like they're going to lose and they have to pay no one to do. I get it. There's got to be some kind of middle ground here. No. So anyway, So we're going to look at. So right now, I just got up on the board. I got the top 20 stocks. Before I race, I thought it'd be kind of fun to go over this thing here real quick. And we're going to look at what happens with Wellington and Wellesley and compare them to these guys right here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take 5% a year off as well. This will be a lot of fun, I think. So anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to a portfolio visualizer, and right. Portfolio visualizer, and hopefully all of you can see this right quick. So first thing we're going to do, I'm not going to withdraw anything. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put, we're going to put Wellington. Jill, did you get my text or whatever it was that there was no Waterloo at Costco? Why are you lying to me, Jill? You got my hopes up. But they did have them on sale at Kroger today, so I did get some Waterloos, but didn't have the orange vanilla, which kind of sucked. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go look at Wellesley and Wellington, and we're going to analyze these from January 1994 to the end of February 1994, comparing some stocks we got up here. So what we'll see here is Wellington had $137,000. Wellesley had $83,000. All right, so check this out. So 137 and 83. So now we're going to look at these charts up here. I just find this stuff fun. I mean, you guys might be bored and get off it, but 137. So you can. Oh man, I didn't bring my freaking book, my notebook. So Wellington had 137. Wellington beat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wellington beat 9 of the top 20 stocks in the S&P 500. What did I say Wellesley had? Wellesley had 83,000, and it beat 1, 2, 3, 4. Wellesley beat 4. All right, so Wellesley, which consists of basically 35 to 40% stocks, beat 4 of the top 20 of the S&P going back to 1994 to 2014. Wellington beat 9 of them. And then Wellington's got about 35% in bonds too. Isn't that interesting? So now let's go back to K. Roger. Yeah, I don't like LaCroix that much. Yeah, LaCroix doesn't do much for me. I like the Spendthrift. I like that, man. How many of the stocks were in the top 20 for all those years? Well, that's a good question. I guess you don't watch my videos there, Fast Eddie, because you're too busy commenting on my hairstyle. Well, you can see right here, the top 20, we got Exxon. But what happens is we got Coke. Walmart's in them. Raytheon is no longer in the top 20. Raytheon became I can't remember what it became, but it got merged with United Technologies. Merck is not in the top 20 anymore. Hope y'all can hear me. PG is. I don't think Pepsi was. Pepsi's not in the top 20. IBM is. J&J is. Bristol Myers Squibb, not. Chevron is. Lowe's is not. That's not Lowe's like Home Depot Lowe's. That's Lowe's, whatever the hell it is. Intel is, I think. No, Intel is not. Isn't that crazy? AIG is not. Verizon still is. Microsoft is. Disney is not. 3M is not. And Pfizer is not. Isn't that crazy? So I'm not sure how many that was. But that's a lot of stocks that were no longer in the top 20. Isn't that interesting? I find that pretty interesting, actually. So you were buying. So this is what I was thinking last night. I was like, man, what if you said, I'm going to buy, because you don't want to, and I'm not going to do this. It's just too complicated. And I frankly just don't believe you can. I think the market, whoever wins the market is lucky, not successful as an investor. But wouldn't it be interesting to say, I'm not going to buy the stocks in the top, and I don't know what's in the next 20. I just don't know in terms of market cap. But would it be interesting to say, I'm not going to buy these stuff, whatever it is, Exxon, Coke, Walmart, Raytheon, Merck, top 5. Instead, you're going to buy the whatever instead, because what happens is you can see, they don't stay in the top. That's for very long. I mean, in terms of Exxon, it's still in the top 20, but it's as of 2014 is the number 2, but as of 2024, it's still in the top 20, but not very high. I think it's like 18 or something. Isn't that crazy? But this is 2014. Yeah. So let's keep going. I thought that was interesting. So we know right there, Wellington and Wellesley beat many of the stocks in the top 20. Wellington probably not, but so let's keep going here. So now we're going to go to 19. We're going to go to 2004 and do the same thing. 2004, right there. Again, just using Portfolio Visualizer, Krakow. And right here, Wellington is at 31,000. Wellesley's at 26. Did I do 2004? Yeah. No, I did 19. I did 2004. Right there. Oh, I screwed that up. Hold on a second. I screwed that up. There we go. All right. So Wellington, 2004 to 2024 was at 48,000, and Wellesley was at 33,000. All right. 48 and 33. So let's stop sharing. So now we're going to look at 2004, 48 and 33. Wellington beat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and came pretty close to being 12 and 13. So again, Wellington beat the majority of the top 20 in the S&P 500. And I think Wellesley was at 33. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wellesley beat 9, and it came pretty close to beating the majority of them too, from 2004 to 2020. Both, and that's to include the worst bond market we ever had in 2022. Yeah, 2022. Isn't that crazy? Northwest Indiana, right on, man. Look at Mandelis, Douglas Mandelis. Look, we got 9 people on freaking Twitter. Damn. I mean, look, I just started that Twitter thing the other day. We got 91 people on Heritage Wealth Planning, 2 on Facebook, and 25 on the Josh Scanlon YouTube channel. So if you're not seeing the comments on the various things, the vast majority are going to be on the the YouTube at Heritage Wealth Planning. I still see the Facebook ones. If anyone's on Twitter, if you want to give me a comment thing, I'd like to see what it says on Twitter, because I have no clue, actually. I don't know what it says on Twitter, if it even shows up or not. But I do know on Facebook, I see the comments. And then I know, but anyway, the bulk of the people, now we've got 100 people on Heritage Wealth Planning and 24 on Josh Scanlon. And then we got 2 on Facebook. All right. Costco is 434 on December 94. Hit it. Yeah, look at that high of 787. That's crazy. United Technologies is another mighty conglomerate around me, which split into 3 entities. Seems like nothing lasts forever. 100%. Andrew says we own P&G stock for about 16 years. Did pretty well for us. We sold it and rolled the proceeds in our brokerage account. My mother doesn't let me in Twitter, says Fast. It's probably, well, your mom's smart. All right, so now let's go to we're going to go back to, 2014. And then this isn't all that fun for me. I mean, this is fun, but it's going to be funner when we actually do 5% withdrawals. So 2014. All right, we hit this right here. So check this out. In 2014, Wellington's at 22,000, Wellesley at 17, 22 and 17, 22 and 17. All right, so now we're going to come on. I know you guys can't see this, but very well. 22 and 17. So Wellington beat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and pretty much tied with another 2. So Wellington from 2014 to 2024 beat almost half of the top 20 in the S&P 500. Isn't that interesting? Let's see, 22 was Wellesley. And again, Wellington had a third of his portfolio in bonds, which got destroyed in 2022. And Wellesley was at 17. So Wellesley was at 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Wellesley beat 6. Crazy, man. Crazy. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. All right, but where it's going to get even more interesting. Check this out. So what we're going to do now is I got to share the screen. Share the screen. All right, so check this out. Back test. So now we're gonna go to 2000 and 1994. All right, we're gonna put Wellington and Wellesley in here, and we're gonna compare it to the S&P 500, VFINX. All right, got knucklehead dogs barking, and we're gonna take 5% a year out. All right, so now we're gonna take withdrawals 5% a year. And we're going to adjust it for inflation, just as a side note, adjust for inflation. And let's see what this looks like. All right, so we're going to hit analyze. So remember, we're starting with $10,000. Doesn't matter how much we start with. We're starting with a certain amount of money, $10,000. We're taking 5% a year out, adjusting with inflation. Let's see how things shook out. So at the end of I guess I didn't even, oh, sweet. I don't even need that one. Nice. Hold on a second. That means I could throw another. Okay. Well, we'll come back to this one later. So at the end of 2024, basically the end of February 2024, Wellington had a balance of, Wellington had a balance of 136. All right. S&P 500. Am I doing that right? Hold on a second. I just going to make sure I'm doing that. Withdrawal fixed amount. Oh, I did dollars. Okay. Well, no wonder why. I screwed that up. All right. There we go. 500. There we go. Okay, cool. We're doing 5%. All right. Let's display income too. There we go. That was factor regression mean? I don't even know what that means. You're not very smart, Josh. No, I'm not. All right. So Wellington. So we got Wellington. Wellesley's portfolio 3. All right, cool. So Wellington, you start with $10,000. You take 5% a year out, adjusted with inflation. Wellington, the final balance is $58,000. Wellesley was $26,000. I mean, double what you started with, and S&P 500 was $82,000. The worst year ever for Wellesley was 10%. Wellington's 22, and S&P 500 37. And you can see on the chart here that here's Wellesley, here's Wellington, and here's S&P 500. And you can see that about at the end of the day, while the S&P 500 left Wellesley in his tracks there, you still had more than what you put in. That's to include the worst bear market we've had since even worse than the Great Depression when you factor in inflation. And then if you actually do a log, watch. So this is Wellesley right here. I thought that's pretty interesting. So that's 1994 until 2024. You can see Wellesley and Wellington held their own. They did. S&P 500 held its own too, except for the fact that the worst, you had a max drawdown of the S&P 500 of 57%. And I just don't think a lot of people could hang with that. I just don't, man. Not when you're in retirement, that's for sure. All right, so now what I want to start doing, though, so remember, Wellington and Wellesley each had, so we got to write that down. Wellington had 58,000 from Wellington, and then Wellesley had 26. So we're going to come back to that, because what we want to do now is we're going to take the top 3 stocks, which are Exxon, KO, Walmart, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do Exxon, KO, Coke, and Walmart. It'll be interesting to see. And then we're going to do 5% a year off and see what these guys do. And what's going to happen here, we'll go back to 1994. So Exxon final balance is 95,000. I got 1 second. I got to put 100 there. I need it. There we go. I don't think I need to do it up here. I think I can do it over here now, so I can sit down while I'm doing this. Hang tight. Oh boy, hang tight. All right. So Exxon now. Make sure I'm sharing, because last time I wasn't sharing. Yeah, okay, cool. Exxon has 95,000, Coke had 46,000, and Walmart had 110. So if memory serves, Wellington had 58 and Wellesley had 26. So Wellington beat Coke. Isn't that crazy? And the S&P 500, of course, had 82,000. Interesting. But now it's going to get worse. Watch this. We got Raytheon, Merck, and P&G. So Raytheon, Merck, and P&G. Raytheon, I think, was RTX. Is that right? Yeah, Raytheon. I think that did fine. Merck and P&G. And we'll see what these guys did. Again, we're taking 5% a year out, adjusted for inflation. All right. So Merck, Raytheon, Merck, is at 110, Raytheon 243, and P&G at 139. Look at that. So those things all smoked the S&P 500 and it smoked the R2 funds, Wellington and Wellesley. All right now, but so you think you're so smart, are you? We got GE, Pepsi, and IBM now. GE, PepsiCo, and IBM. So everyone would think I'm so smart. Oops, Pepsi. Right there. Pep. Need some pep. Everyone thinks they're so smart. They guess I bought those stocks. So GE's only worth $20,000, less than Wellesley. Isn't that crazy? PepsiCo and Pepsi and IBM are worth a pretty good amount of money. But watch this. So far we're batting pretty well. If we would have bought the top 10 in the S&P 500, we're doing pretty well. Other than GE, J&J, Bristol Myers Squibb, and Chevron. J&J, I think BME. Is that what it was? Y. There we go. And Chevron. There we go. Oh wait. Canada. Why you got to put? I don't want Canada stocks. No one cares about Canada. All right, so there we go. So Bristol Myers Squibb did worse than Wellington. The other two did better than both, and they did better than the S&P 500. All right, so still pretty interesting. Now we're going to go to Lowe's, Intel, and AIG. Lowe's, Intel, and AIG. All right, watch this. Yeah, look at that. All three did worse. Here's AIG. Your goose is cooked. Here's Intel. Wellington did better than that. And here's Lowe's. Wellington did better than that. In fact, Wellesley almost beat Lowe's. Isn't that interesting? All right. So now, lastly, let's go to. Oh wait, not lastly. Verizon, Microsoft, and Disney. Verizon, Microsoft. I'm going to keep the Verizon thing here for just this. I want to come back to Verizon here in just a couple of seconds. Verizon, Microsoft, and Disney. And Microsoft, look at that. So AIG, Verizon, you're freaking, you suck, dude. Look at that. 12,000. You start with 10, you're down to 12. Look at Microsoft, $2 million. And then Disney, $32,000. I mean, look at that. If you could have called Microsoft right, you're in hog heaven. And the last two are going to be 3M and Pfizer. Oops. And then Pfizer. Oops. There we go. And watch what happens here. And I can't remember. I did this. I just can't remember what happens here. I got to put some. Watch this. So 3M, you did worse. Then Pfizer, you did better. But I'm going to show you guys something. So watch this real quick. We'll go back to Verizon because a lot of people say, but Josh, I'm getting a big fat dividend yield. We're just going to zero this out. We're going to zero that out. But it's paying me great, don't you know? Watch. I just want to show you again. Here's freaking Verizon. You only made, you were making okay rates of return. But you're only down. Your final balance is $12,000. You start with 10. Look at that. You look at this. This is a thing with when I say high dividends, higher than average dividends. It's just there isn't much of a share price change. You're just getting the dividend, and that might be okay, but you're not making any growth. I'm gonna just get my phone here so I can see what Verizon is doing right now. There's just not much growth to be had. And the thing with high dividends, especially anything like utility stock. Now, mind you, I own 100 shares of Southern Company, and the dividends are nice, but there's just, if you're pulling money out, look at that. You're basically pulling your dividend out. And after 30 years, you're just left with your principal, essentially. It's almost like a bond. It's like a bond right there. So I get all these emails like, hey, Josh, what do you think about this high yielding fund or this? I'm like, or what do you think about covered calls? I'm just like, it's the same thing. You're basically getting a almost like a junk bond status. You're going to make more money most likely, but with more volatility. And if you're pulling money out, you just can't afford that volatility. Yeah, Verizon's, look at that, man. Verizon is a dog. Yes, but you make it all in the dividends front, but you didn't make any growth. And see, this is the issue here, is we want growing dividends because growing dividends are where the bills get paid. Flat dividends in terms of just, again, this is what pulling money out. Let's look what Verizon did if we did not pull any money out. Let me share my screen again. I'm not here to bash Verizon, but I hear this all the time. I'm getting a high dividend. I'm like, if you're pulling money out of that, there's risk inherent in that because you might be pulling more money out than the dividends paying, especially today with the dividends so low. Anyway, so we're going to see instead of doing a withdrawal, we're not going to do a withdrawal. We're just going to say none. And what we're going to do is going to put $10,000 in Verizon. And just for giggles, we compare it to the S&P 500, right? And we're going to reinvest dividends. So comparatively speaking, Verizon relative to the S&P 500 is worth $59,000. The S&P 500 is worth 188. And you can say it's because it's a dog or anything like that, but it still maintained itself in the top 20 of the S&P 500 all these years. Just haven't done anything. Relatively speaking, but yet, it has done. Look at 6.06. It's not like let's compare that to Wellington. Verizon Wellington. BWELX. And we'll compare it to Wellesley as well. BWINX. And I get these emails all the time about, I could get 6 and 7% on this. Like, yeah, there's a reason. So here's Verizon. So we got Verizon's worth of all of them right there. It's worth the least of all of them. It just hasn't anything appreciation on the share price. It just has, a little bit, but basically we're reinvesting dividends in the share price. And again, I just like to use this as an idea to say, be very careful investing in things that are paying a high dividend, especially things that have high debt relative to the dividend they're paying, because the dividend is being generated from what? The debt. And that's, you just got to be careful on that. And so what happens here is even Wellesley Fund had, what's that, 25,000 more than Verizon did after 30 years, man. And the reason is because of growing dividends, and Verizon had flatline dividends. And I think we look at IBM, let's look at Intel too, as a matter of fact, because I was working on that quite a bit when I was working on my book, IBM, and let's look at GE. So remember, all these guys are in the S&P 500, GE, IBM, and the top 20. And we're going to see this is investing, reinvesting dividends, not taking any money out. And here's IBM at 266, compounding a growth rate of 11.5. And that's fantastic. And here's GE way down here, but GE's coming off. Look at that. GE's at 15,000 at April 2020, and now it's at 61,000. So GE's, what's that? That's freaking quadrupled, no, doubled itself in 4 years. That's not so bad. But watch what happens when we're pulling money out. So all these have done well. Here's Intel, here's IBM, here's the S&P 500. But watch what happens when we're pulling money out, though. We're going to go to withdrawals, fixed amount. Yeah, adjust for inflation. We're pulling 5% a year out. Blink. Watch what happens here. There we go. So the S&P 500 is right here at which one is this? This guy right here. The green is going to be the S&P 500. No, it's not as bad as I would have thought. So I thought Intel was getting crushed. I guess it's Well, look at that. That's actually better than I would have thought. Both these guys actually did better than I would have thought. But look at that, significantly better than I would have thought. S&P 500 is at 82,000. IBM or Intel, I think Intel's 133 and IBM is 190. Look at that. That speaks for itself. So my thought process there is incorrect. I would have thought both these guys would have been suck and win, but they obviously GE was, but they weren't. I'm surprised by that. That's interesting. Let's look at Pfizer. I just want to do Pfizer again. PFE. I want to look at Pfizer. I want to look at nothing really else jumps out at me. Let's just look at Pfizer. Let's just see what Pfizer has done. Because I remember people used to buy Pfizer for the dividends as well. Let's see. And Pfizer is where? Where is Pfizer? Portfolio number 1. And portfolio 1 is at 82,000. Well, Pfizer did okay. All right, I'm surprised by that. Had a nice run here from 1994. Look at that nice run. All these guys had a nice run. We'll come back to that. Let's actually see, and we'll just see what the comments are saying. I bought Chevron decades ago. Been collecting dividends every year. I'm now receiving 20% yield to the cost of my original investment. Yeah, that's fantastic. Like QYLD. Is that one of the so in this case we're reinvesting the dividends. Yeah, if you like dividend payout, that's 100%. That's kind of so Harry makes a good point. If you like dividend payouts, you might as well buy a income annuity. I agree that to some extent, other than the fact that dividend payouts, if they're growing, I cannot stress this enough, growing dividend payouts, man. If you can get some growing dividend payouts, that's going to be worth more, certainly from an income perspective, than the SPIA, because the SPIA is fixed. It's not growing. SPIA is a bond without so just real quick, a single premium income annuity is a bond with no maturity date and no par value. All right, literally, it will pay you a level of income for the rest of your life. And when you die, assuming there's no survivor benefit, it wipes off the map. That's all there's to it. So a SPIA is a bond, a perpetual bond that has no cash value at the end. That's just a fact. So we should. Where's your house there, Uncle Big Bad? Where do you live, man? Because where do you live? Let's give us the address. I want to see though. Let's start with. I'm not going to do 1990 and 2000. I'm going to do 2004. Some of these same companies. So let's go back. Now, I'm not here to. Hey, Prairie, why are you in Iowa, Prairie Mark? What the hell are you doing over there? Yeah, run VIG. What's VIG? All right. Good question. Let's run VIG. I don't know what VIG is. There's a Vanguard something. There's an ETF, so it hasn't been around since. All right, so V means it's Vanguard. It's 3 letters, which means it's going to be an ETF. It hasn't been around. ETFs haven't been around for Vanguard since probably mid-aughts. So it won't have enough track record from 1994, but it'll be around probably 2007 or so, 2008. So let's take a look what VIG is doing here. Vanguard, yeah, there we go. Vanguard dividend appreciation. So we'll see what this guy has done, and we'll just leave IBM and GE up there. Am I sharing my screen? No, I'm not. All right, hold on a second. I share my screen. Bo diddly, where you been? Down in Watertown, drinking gin. So let's see. When VIG started, I'm saying 2007, as I'm going to say. 2005. We'll say 2005. 2007. I was right. Should have changed this. Stuck with that. All right. So let's take a look. We're going to look at VIG compared to IBM. I don't want GE. We'll do. Let's do fries. Why not? For giggles. I'm giggling. I just pooped and giggled. Get it? S and giggles. Can't say cuss words. I don't actually cuss very often, by the way. I'm not a cussing kind of guy. Did all that stuff in my younger years. All right, so VIG was what? First one. All right, so VIG, right here. So VIG was worth 19,000 schmackaroonies. VIG did better than both those individual stocks and the S&P 500. Look at that. So VIG is worth, again, we're taking 5% a year off. Look at that, dude. VIG is worth basically double what you put in, whoever asked that question. Both the portfolio, let's do Wellington and Wellesley instead of these stupid stocks. Let's do Wellington and Wellesley. I'm curious about that. Let's see. So VIG, all right, So we got VIG did better than Wellington and Wellesley and the S&P 500. Now let's see what the max drawdown was. About 48%. That was in 2000, obviously 2007, 8, 9. Wellington is here. Wellesley's here. And here's the S&P 500. So VIG did better with less volatility. Standard deviation, 13.9. There's Wellesley standard deviation. See, for me, that's quite attractive. That's a very attractive standard deviation right there, 7%. And we had a 6% time weighted return. That looks pretty good to me for a retiree, mind you. Again, this would take 5% a year off, guys. Let's put VD. Let's get rid of VIG. Let's put VDIGX. I used to own this fund. I don't anymore. I wish I kept it, but what are you going to do? I tell you, there was a time in there I was nervous. I'm not going to lie to you. Still sits with me. All right, so here we're going to go back to the VDIGX, which is the Vanguard Dividend Appreciation Mutual Fund or Dividend Growth Mutual Fund, which I used to own. I used to own Wellington. I never owned Wellesley. And we're going to compare all three. All right, so portfolio one is VDI. Actually, what was portfolio one? VDIGX. Oh, wait, am I taking money out? Yeah, I was taking money out. All right, sweet. Yep. So here's portfolio one. It only worth $27,000. What? Is that right? Portfolio two is Wellington. Portfolio three is Wellesley. Is that right? It is. Whoa. What? Yeah, VDIGX. Damn. Look at that. What happened? Whoa, I never knew that. Look at that. Standard deviations double that of the Wellesley, and yet it had almost the same rate of return as Wellesley. Compound annual growth rate. Whoa. This is what happens when you're concentrated, because VDIGX only has like 40 stocks. That's crazy. I'm stunned by that. I'm not going to lie. You guys see what I'm seeing, right? Yeah, okay. I'm stunned by that. Went through Moderna. Let's see here. Hey, my daughter's little bitty dog like Pablo's named Paco. We think we came across Pablo's brother about 4 years ago. His name was Paco. Pablo is great at sniffing out the best products, yeah. Oh boy. Jill says, I like seeing that old 2018 video. You're so buttoned down and serious. Hardly recognize you. Even your voice sounded different. Maybe the mic, but barely recognizable. I don't think I had a mic, Jill. The reason is back then it probably sounded different because there's a different route. I mean, I watched some videos and you can kind of tell when people are not saying nervous, but you just get I'll never forget when I first started doing these videos. I'm looking at this little green button that says it's on. You know what I'm saying? And at first you're like, it's weird because especially if you come from the normal range where you're talking to people across the table, and here I'm just yapping, and it's an interesting thing. And I remember I'll never forget one time my wife Charlotte was walking in the other room. I was doing it. I was like, I had to pause because I felt kind of embarrassed. Now I don't care. I'm just like, what? I mean, you just get used to it. You know what I'm saying? But I was just watching this guy today. Carol was being interviewed by my man Andy Planko, I think it's his name. And Andy has a decent sized channel, I think. I can't remember the name of his channel. Retirement Education, something like that. But he doesn't do enough videos, and you can tell he doesn't do enough videos because he's not nervous, but he's just very it's not what's the word? It's not nervous. But it doesn't flow well, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to disparage him. It's just a little bit too formalized, I guess, for me. And I guess other people like that stuff. But the issue is I followed this guy named Miles Beckler. He said 90 videos in 90 days. And you do 90 videos in 90 days, you'll see if you want to keep doing it or not, because it takes a while to get the muscle memory. And I said, well, hell, I'm going to do 90 videos in 90 days. And I said, sometimes I'm going to do 2 in one day. Because I like it. And I still like it. You know what I'm saying? I always worry I'm going to do too many videos that bore people. But Be perfectly honest, my views are going up now. I mean, I think one of the reasons my views are going up is because I've been doing shorts lately, and I think YouTube's rewarding me with shorts now. And I don't know what's going on, but my revenue's gone up on YouTube. My views have gone up since I started doing shorts. I do a couple of shorts a day while I'm in the gym, or I'm just reading the art, whatever the headlines from the BLS or something like that. And the hair dye, I still think that white undershirt was inside out. Yeah, that's funny. I could care less about cryptocurrency, Beth. I think it's all fake. I mean, it'll never replace a dollar as a currency. It's not a currency. The whole thing about crypto being a currency is just so silly to me. Currency is fluid. We're exchanging things to buy one thing and do another thing, and that's not what happening. So with crypto, let's just use Bitcoin for simplicity. It's like, what are you buying Bitcoin? Well, you're holding it. You're not using it to exchange. I mean, it's just the whole thing is just fake. And I got clients that made bank on it. I got no qualm with that. I'm not touching a 10-foot pole. I think it's just silly. And it's just like the whole thing with, well, it's a currency. All right, so when are you going to buy something with Bitcoin? No, I'm not, because I'm going to hold it for the value. Oh, okay. So because you're holding it for the value, you're not using it as a currency. No. So why do we call it cryptocurrency? Well, it's not. It's a store of value against inflation. Okay, so what is it storing exactly? Like what's it storing? Value. Why? Because there's only a limited amount that Yoshi, or that guy's name, there's only 21 million you can get. Okay. So what does it actually, what do I get for my Bitcoin? I just want to know. Because it's not a currency, because people are hoarding it. No different than what happened with gold in 1935, why FDR literally made it illegal to hoard gold. You got to turn your gold in. Crazy. So what can you do with, so you're saying Bitcoin is storing electricity? How is Bitcoin or crypto, how is it storing electricity? I don't get it, because they actually literally paid the miners not to mine during the Texas grid off in 2022 or whatever it was. They paid them, huge amounts of money. I think it was $20 million not to mine, because they're consuming so much electricity. So I don't get how you're saying it's storing it. There's some kind of battery operation that they have. Tell the world about it, Michael. And I'm not, has to be mined to be minted. Yeah, but you're saying it's storing it like it's a battery, like there's batteries. The idea that the crypto miners are storing electricity, it's like battery thing they can turn off and turn on at whim to use. Was it Bitcoin or currency? Cryptocurrency takes, I think it's like 2%. Okay, all right, good. So you're on the same page. Okay. When I hear storing electricity, I think batteries, and I'm like, it's not operating on batteries. Anyway, I think it takes 2% of global, and it's just electricity, mind you, but electricity consumption is going for miners. The whole thing is just dumb to me. Oh, you don't know anything. You got to read this book by Yoshi or whatever the hell that guy's name was. Like, I don't want to read your stupid book. I don't care. The problem with Bitcoin, and just talk about that simplicity, is always and everywhere is the greater fool theory. You always have to have a greater fool to buy from. This, I know that sounds disparaging to these people, but the facts are, if there's ever an oversupply of electricity with windmills, they create Bitcoin. I thought they couldn't create Bitcoin. I thought there's only so much it could be. There's only so much it could be mined. But if there's ever if I'm hoarding it to sell it at a future date, it has no value to me until I sell it. It's 100%, Michael, the greatest fool, man. It has no value to me until I sell it. Satoshi. No one knows who he is still. And I get frustrated, but I'm not gonna lie. I really don't care. And if people who are watching this, or my clients, they get mad at me, I'm not trying to disparage you. If you can make money on it, it's great. But we know for a fact, for you to make money on it, you got to sell it to someone who's a greater fool than you. I know that sounds bad, and you can say the same thing about stocks, but that's not true. Stocks literally we buy stuff. Apple provides me a phone that I can use. Whoever does this, Kleenex, there's a thing I can freaking wipe my butt with. You know what I'm saying? These actually have products. Whoever does this, there's something I can use. Bitcoin doesn't do that. Oh, but it prevents the government from confiscating. Ugh. I don't invest in it. I mine and sell it and buy VTI. No, there you go. 100%, Michael. Mine it and sell it. 100%. I got no look. People do what they want to do, but I just always say that at the end of the day, well, people say, well, Bitcoin takes electricity. What do you think credit cards do, Josh? What do you think credit cards do? I'm like, oh my goodness, that's our argument. That we can't conduct transactions if electricity goes down because credit cards aren't being used. I think there's this other thing called, I don't know, I'm just going to throw out there, cash. So my man says, but it's all good. The algorithm knows I like scantily clad female contortionists that show bows and arrows with their feet while doing a handstand balance. That's awesome, man. I always, this is a good question, Hank. I have home country bias. I don't have any international stocks, and the reason I still fall under the idea that all investing is international to some capacity. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we are still trading heavily with Mexico, Canada, Europe, China. There's lots of international stuff being traded there. So, I mean, the argument with international stocks is they're so low in terms of PE ratios, and that's attractive to me. I'm not going to lie to you. The Japanese, all these companies Japanese, the Nikkei is still quite low relative to its peers, the United States, whatnot. But that doesn't mean it can't go lower. I mean, let's look what's happening. I haven't looked at China much lately, but I just see some stuff that they're basically bordering on deflation, and who knows what the hell's going to happen. So, and Europe is dying in my end. U.S. is the only game. Look, U.S. right here. You're going to invest in Honduras stocks if you want, I suppose. But it's U.S. or bust. It forever will be, man. I mean, the empire will collapse at some point. You know what I'm saying? But it's not. I mean, we are still the only game in town. I mean, China's an S show. I mean, it really is, dude. It's not capitalist. We're not capitalist either, I grant you. But it's run by freaking commies at the end of the day. I mean, they're fascist, and so aren't we. But still commies. You know what I'm saying? They don't. China's silly. Their population is, literally dying off as we sit here. I think the latest projection, they'll have less than 700 million people at the end of the end of this century. I mean, who knows that's right? But at the end of the day, private property is not. There isn't private property rights and all that stuff, and just the whole thing is silly. They can get away with a lot of stuff by stealing our technology, which I wish we'd crack down on. It seems like we shouldn't have these Confucius things in American schools and whatnot, and we should definitely be freaking throwing people. Make them ride the lightning when they're found to be traitorous with the United States, giving our assets to China. I don't know why we don't do that, but I guess, who knows? I guess we all kind of do know why. Because lots of people are making money on China, which is why I'm in favor of the TikTok ban. The TikTok ban, by the way, isn't a ban on TikTok. It's to make the commies divest. Make them divest, and I like that. Make them freaking commies divest, dude. You see what I'm saying? That's what we need for national security, 100%. And TikTok is not being banned. It's just say the commies can't control it anymore. I love it. I think it's a great move, and I hope they freaking go through it. And everyone's like, well, they're going to do this. Don't you know what happened with Facebook and YouTube and all that, where they censored people? I said, no, I get it. What I'm saying, I like that. But this is a whole different ballgame of having commies. Do people not know what the commies were doing for TikTok in 2022? They did this mass campaign, election interference from foreign governments like crazy. They did the same thing on Facebook or Russia. The evidence is so minimal, and that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the Facebooks and all these guys are still owned, we think, by pro-Americans. Who knows? But it's still owned by us. Those things are still controlled by commies. We don't want commies being able to engage in election interference. We don't want commies being able to freaking tell people. Something else I was listening to, because I was listening to the guy from the FCC, who's a right winger, by the way, definitely not a shrink and violet, definitely not a lib. He was saying the TikTok algorithm shows Americans like porn, suicidal stuff, bad stuff. So if you're a 17-year-old kid on TikTok, it's kind of like I was talking about Twitter just a few minutes ago. It's like how Twitter is just so geared to making people hate each other. TikTok, it makes you want to kill yourself. Literally, that's what they're saying. They say you go on to TikTok, it's going to show you lots of porn, lots of freaking, and when I say porn, I don't know what kind of porn. I'm not sure it's hardcore porn, but very sexualization, lots of 57 flavors. But mostly what the guy was saying is a lot of suicidal depression stuff. Horrible, horrible stuff. You go the same thing in China, it's showing like people crushing. The Chinese people are freaking crushing it, man. Our politicians are already owned by commies like Biden because Biden can't show people that at the end of the day you should be depressed or things are bad and all that. The algorithm is 100%. This 100%. And look, I was so the algorithm is what they're using to destroy our youth. Half of our population on TikTok, and they do collect that. Not only do they collect the data in China, not only do they do election interference, but what they're putting out is bad for children in terms of the suicidal stuff, how bad things are. And I'm not on TikTok. Son with Microsoft, and he says do not use TikTok. And then in China though, you go on there and they're showing people freaking crushing. They're showing them making, doing all kinds of engineering, just kicking ass and taking names. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that so much. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they won't sell their algorithm 100%. Did Bill Bengen said the 5% withdrawal revision now requires small caps and international exposure to work? Yeah, I don't know if that's if Bill Bengen is now saying a 5% withdrawal revision now requires small caps and international exposure. He might have, but why would with the diversity? Why would that be the difference between it working and not? This is my issue here: is that we're going back to the bias of the past to determine our future. And there is a small cap value bias. There's just a fact, and I can't remember the other guy's name. There's another guy that I did a video on him 4 years ago. Can't remember his name. An older guy, and people got pissed. I said, the small cap value bias, dude, it was a tiny slither of time from 1926 to basically 2024, essentially. And it was from like 1976 to 1983 or something like that, where small cap value stocks did so much better than anything else that forever people are going to think there's a small cap value bias. You take out that 7 years time, there isn't any. Then people say, but that's historic. That's historic. I said, yes, that's the problem. It is historic. That does not mean it's going to be probable in the future that you're going to have that the same 7 year bias. It's literally, for me, I'm like, what? People, they're saying, well, you can't pick and choose. I said, I'm not picking and choose. What I'm saying is, because there's a small cap value bias, it's based on this 7 year time frame from 1976 and 1983. You take out that 7 year time frame, there is no small cap bias. Yeah, but that's historic numbers. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. What, you're going to say there's going to be another 7 year time frame, the small cap value, you're going to just so dominate everything else to make it because of history? It doesn't make any sense to me. That doesn't make any sense. I find it, frankly, quite silly. The same thing comes with stocks and bonds. People say, well, stocks dominated bonds, for the last 100 years. I get it. You take out basically a 20 year time frame from 1948 to 1968. Stocks beat bonds, but not like a redhead stepchild if you add that time frame in. And people say, well, it's historic numbers. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the problem. Use historical numbers, because we're not going to have a 7 year small cap just destruction of everything else. We're not going to have a 20 year stock destruction of bonds. Like literally, the destruction of stocks over bonds in that 20 year time frame is like nothing anyone's ever seen. If you look previous to that, bonds and stocks are kind of neck and neck. You look from 1982 to 2011, bonds and stocks did better, don't get me wrong, but bonds held their own. It's just a fact. In this last decade, bonds haven't done anything. I grant you, stocks have done, and you should. You expect stocks to do better, but you take out that one time frame. It's a long time frame, I grant you. But still, to use historical numbers means these things will have to happen again. A 20 year just destruction of stocks over bonds. A 7 year destruction by the small cap values over everything else. Why would that ever happen again? What caused these things to happen? I wonder what. Well, 1974, ERISA got rid of some of the rules and regulations that you didn't have to own all large caps anymore for your pensions and your employee plans. You can own you can even, if memory serves, you even own real estate. And for some reason, small cap stocks got the bulk of that, and their portfolio, their market values went up and up and up. Is that another risk going to happen to make small cap values do this again? What could it possibly be? Look at Eddie Duncan, give me a thumbs up on Facebook. Right on. Don't make sense to me. Man, I got 19 people on Twitter. What the hell? That's crazy. Can you make money on Twitter? Yeah, there's always rotation. I just buy the whole mark 100%. Ted, look at Ted. You can tell Ted's from Maine because he's getting it. Here's Andrew. I think everything is cyclical. Everything has a period when it shines, and that's what Bill Bengen is going to. And I look. I'm not against buying international stuff. Remember, VTI has small caps in there, not much, but if you look at VTI, let me just draw this out real quick. So VTI is the total domestic stock index. I think it's what VOO is the S&P 500, and it's 70% of the domestic stock index of the So the S&P 500 is 70% of VTI. The rest will be the extended market index, the Wilshire 4500 extended market index, which is small and mid-sized companies. All right, so basically VTI has your small caps covered in my opinion. The real question is, should you do international stuff? I just I don't, but I get the appeal because the PEs are low. I just, at the end of the day, I'm VTI or bust. S&P, yeah, 100%. Exactly, James. No one knows the future. And I'm just like, but people want me. This guy, my man Chris, who I like, he's been a welcome critic of mine on my YouTube channel. I gotta get some. We got these Waterloo things that Jill was telling me about from Costco. No, but I didn't have them at Costco, so I had to get them from Kroger today. I've been dying to try one here. But the idea that the past can tell us anything about the future is just not true. I mean, could it? Sure. But it's just as probable as it could not. Now, what? Hold on a second. I'm talking for. I'm not talking about day trading and all that stuff. There is some validity to, like, Benoit Mandelbrot, one of the mathematicians who kind of came up with a little fractal theory. Who said there is some. I got to put this up for a second. Show you all the way. I think I did a short thing on that. Yeah, I can definitely tell YouTube is liking the shorts to compete with TikTok. And so there'll be more to come. It's funny just doing that. Now, I think actually, when I was running today, not running, I was walking on a treadmill. I actually kind of just started watching some shorts. It's kind of easy to fall and say, just to let them run this course. It's kind of funny, actually. After you have Waterloo, I've had Waterloo. I still like Spindthrift, though. Top of the morning to you. Yeah, it's pretty good. That's a raspberry nectarine. I wish they had the orange vanilla. Jill, I texted you, or not texted you. I did whatever the hell. I emailed you that or Facebook thing on that. Yeah, I'm paying attention. Jill's like, she's too busy watching. What's that guy's name? The War Room with that guy. What the hell's that guy's name? I'm drawing a blank. Damn. You know what I'm talking about. The War Room guy. You know that guy's name? Steve Bannon. Pablo here. Now we know your name because you're all big on the name Pablo. So there's Pablo. Why don't you just call yourself Pablo? Change your name to Pablo. Pablo says, I've been doing 80% total U.S. international index since 84. Has let me sleep at nights with good returns. 80%. Oh, 80% U.S., 20% international. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I get no comment. For me, I'm just like, nah, I'm going to stay with it because I like America. Apparently, Pablo hates America. Pablo says, I only like America 80% of the time. Yeah, Pablo, he wants to go fight with the French. Pablo's like, yeah, if Napoleon comes back, I'm going to say, Napoleon, here's some Waterloo. Yeah. I bet Pablo, like when the Nazis or the Germans, I shouldn't say the Nazis, they weren't Nazis. The Germans are invading, St. freaking Leningrad or St. Petersburg. I bet Pablo says, here, Germans, here's some jackets for you. Because, the Germans invaded without jackets. I bet Pablo is like a friggin' a Russian citizen. He says, here, Germans, here's some jackets. Yeah, Pablo, look at he hates America. Why are you gonna hate America? Dude? What did America ever do to you? Yeah, dude. Orange, vanilla, creamsicles. Oh, dude. Yeah. Is this even up for debate? orange vanilla creamsicle is pretty good. Supposedly they have orange freaking Frosties at Wendy's. So I drove 20 minutes the other day to get a Wendy's orange Frosty. It wasn't there. So you know what I had to do instead? Had to go get a Shamrock Shake. Because Shamrock Shakes are pretty good. Pretty good. Had to get a Shamrock. You know what my wife is making tomorrow? Some kind of Irish cake thing. We're gonna make some Guinness. What the hell is that thing called? Some kind of cake thing with some kind of drink. She had to go to a liquor store tonight to get this. Why can I not remember anything? My wife is half French, half Lithuanian. Only like her half the time. I'm with Pablo. Oh man. No. Oh, right on. So there you go. So Pablo said to freaking Hitler, "Hey, why don't we invade St. Petersburg and not give our soldiers jackets? How about that, Hitler?" And Hitler's like, "You got it, Pablo." So it's freaking Pablo's a culprit here. No, they only had this right here. That's it. Because it was on sale at Kroger. Yeah, a good point. Good point, says Lola. Laugh at you 322 or whatever. Says most U.S. countries focus on real estate investments rather than stocks. That's a good point. Bailey's, yeah, that's what it is, Andrew. Bailey, some kind of Bailey's thing. Look at that, 5.19. I'll take it. The Costco I work at does $450 million a year. That's crazy. That's crazy. The Russians made the Germans pay. Oh, 100%, dude, is horrible. I mean, just the stories of women. It's horrible, man. I mean, like these guys, like these. I forgot what I was reading. It was there's some book on this, and like the man was upstairs. I guess he got, he lost his leg during the war or something like that. And then they had no food at all, and the commies come through, and she's like, I'll freaking do whatever you want for a piece of bread, if you know what I'm saying. Whatever you want. Nah, but the alcohol gets burnt off during the cooking process. Alcohol gets burnt off. Paul Merriman, that's what it. Yeah, Paul Merriman. I get people like pissed, like, how dare you challenge Paul Merriman? So, dude, I got no qualm with the guy. Yeah, just this whole. So, what Paul Merriman had, I think, I think he had like he had overlap, and I don't care, but he had the VTI or something like that. He had the S&P 500 or something like that. I can't remember. But then he had a separate thing for small cap value. It's like, you already got small cap value. I mean, I just don't get the appeal. But whatever. People do whatever the hell they want. But people got mad. Switzerland is the only safe international market. And I don't know, man. S&P, yeah, we already talked about that. There is always rotation. That's why we can. This is the issue, is that we can contend with the idea. That's why I was kind of doing my whole thing on stocks up there. It's like, you just don't know. We don't know. I mean, we just don't. But that's what I was going to say about Benoit Mandelbrot. So here's a guy who developed the idea of fractals. And fractals, what it means is the things relies on each other. All right. So there's no, and I'm reading this other book by my man Jim Odar, Advanced Retirement Income Planning, which I have some disagreements with, but so far so good. So that we got like a bell curve is completely random, and that's not really how the stock market works. The stock market is fractal. It relies on the past in some ways to say, hey, what the future is going to bring. But you said differently. I said differently for the 30 years, man. You know what I'm saying? On any given day, yeah, you could probably day trade on numbers that say, well, the market did this, and we think the market will do that because if there is some fractal nature of this, it relies on the past, if that makes sense. The completely random nature of a Monte Carlo and not says they're just completely ignorant of the other scenarios, and it's just not true. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, okay, so maybe you could try to make some money on the short term, but the problem, this is where the efficient market theory comes in and whatnot. Efficient market hypothesis. is that all the knowledge is already out there. So if you have that knowledge, other people have that knowledge too, if that makes sense. So are you going to be able to exploit an ignorant market? Not likely. I mean, it's just because I hate to say you're not the only game in town. Maybe Benoit Mandelbrot could have back, because he's a friggin', an incredible mathematician, 30, 40 years ago, but hardly, very unlikely now. Is because, and this is why all these things, what do you think about this strategy and that strategy? It's like, all these strategies are known to all the players in the market. You know what I'm saying? And as such, it's kind of like, so they're going to work until they don't. And you don't know when they're going to work, if they will, or when they won't. You just don't know. And you'll never will. I mean, until it's too late. And you're like, oh, man. And then the question is, this is what Matt Faber talks about all the time. He says, well, what if the strategy is not working? When do you get out of it? Is 10 years long enough? I mean, just think 10 years. I'm 53 right now. Let's say I put my money into a portfolio that looked pretty good on paper. In 10 years, I'm 63. It hasn't done crap. On the other hand, the S&P 500 is just kicking ass and taking names. You think I'm likely to sit in that? I don't think so. This is the issue, kind of going back to international stocks right now, by the way, is international stocks haven't done anything relative to the S&P 500. And people are like, well, they should. I know, I get it. Vanguard's been saying that for friggin' 15 years, but they haven't. So how long are you going to wait for the international markets to? It's kind of like me and my long-term government bonds. I got a decent sized position in long-term government bonds. I mean, very long-term, zero coupon bonds. It doesn't get any more aggressive than that. And I mean, that's, I'm still clocking 4%, 4.5% yield. So that's why I'm doing it. But let's just say I never get the pop I'm anticipating. Again, I'm getting 4 to 4.5% yield, so I'm fine with that. But if I wasn't getting that, and then the S&P 500 is freaking going to the moon and beyond, I'm like, dude, how long am I going to stay in there? I mean, 5 years, 3 years? That's the issue. So at the end of the day, it's just be in the whole market and let the chips fall they may. So for me, the only question isn't small caps or large caps. Guys said kids get everything. Is how much international, if any, you want to do. And I get the appeal. The lower price to earnings ratio is 100%. I get it. Probably higher dividend yields too, because the prices haven't gone up as much. But I'm just like, I think I look at the foreign markets and I don't see a lot of, especially Europe. Europe is just so freaking stupid. Did they put some freaking politician in jail because of a mean tweet or something like that? It's just, Europe can go kiss my big fat white behind. They suck. I cannot stand Europe. Dude, give me Palestinians any day of the week over Europeans. I'm saying that, I'm being silly, but still, my goodness. Well, I think the average person can do it because the average person doesn't pay any attention, frankly. I mean, that's a good thing. A good point, Pablo. Everyone needs to remember history's most important lesson. When the homeland crumbles, they send you to war 100%. How do you not get the pop on your long-term bond fund? It has to pop when rates go down, but rates haven't gone down. I mean, so we got a little bit of a pop when rates are going down at the beginning of the year, but now rates have gone up. Why have rates gone up again? Well, because the inflation comes in hot, much harder than they thought. Citizen in England arrested in the HB crime. Dude, the whole thing's crazy. You hear about the autistic girl who called some freaking gay cop, hey, you look like my auntie. She's gay too, or something like that. And the cop literally put her in freaking handcuffs and stuff. They took her to jail. Freaking Europe gets go freaking pound sand. And what? By the way, just my rant here. What the hell is Matt Walsh or whatever his name is from Daily Wire griping? What is the issue with these guys at the Daily Wire griping so much about Social Security? It's the weirdest thing, man. I don't get it. I'm sitting in, I'm sure, I don't know about Ben Shapiro. I'm sure he was all favor of sending money to Ukraine and whatnot. I know he wants to send money to Israel. I know that for a fact. Like, what? And then Matt Walsh, like, yeah, we should cut foreign aid off. I've been saying that for years. Well, okay. Well, start with that. How about that then there, Matt Walsh? How about we start with cutting off freaking money to other people instead of cutting off money to ourselves? Why don't we make that argument and say, look, we need to fix Social Security. We got to come back to it because first we got to fix these other things. What the hell? All right, so Jill has a good question about bond funds. They can all kiss my big fat behind. Why is it the conservative Inc.? I like Matt Walsh, generally speaking. His complete straw man on his anti-moon landing hoax thing, because he had a thing about the moon landing, because I don't believe the moon landing happened. Oh my goodness, his complete straw man, his arguments against it. I was like, dude, the fact you, and then he did the same thing on his anti-social security screed I was listening to today. I don't know when he did the video. I was like, you're just straw man. This is embarrassing. I was like, this is what goes for freaking smart on the Republican side. This is embarrassing. Don't straw man people, man, because that happens to me all the time. Oh, so you want everyone in an iron lung? Never said that. Oh, so you don't mind if kids get killed in the street because you don't believe AR-15 should be banned? Never said that. Never said that either. Oh, so you don't think rocket ships take off? No, never said that either. It's all the time I hear this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Oh, so you think we shall die from global warming? No, don't recall ever saying that one either. But I hear them all the time. The big one that used to happen all the time was the vax stuff. This was before COVID. Oh, so you want everyone in iron lung then, do you? Yeah, never said that, but okay. And then same thing about firearms. Oh, so you want little children to be shot down the street, do you? It's like the libs do that because they're not as well thought. They're just because libs have had everything fed to them with a silver spoon. I mean, the libs are just like, I'm okay, media. You tell me what to think. Us on the right should be better than that. We have to be better than that because basically all of entertainment, all the media, all music is against us. So for us to stay on the right inherently means we're independent thinkers, inherently. And so for us to use straw mans against arguments that you might find silly, it's beneath what Republicans and right wingers should do. I hate to say Republicans because there's so many idiotic Republicans, but what about healthcare? What I'm saying. Oh, interesting. If we faked the moon landing, the Soviets would have been all over that. Oh, would they have been? Interesting, because we do have some that were all over that. Weird, but you haven't heard of them. So because you haven't heard of them from the Soviet Russian astronauts, you haven't heard of it. That means the Soviets didn't say anything about it. Interesting. So if we have Soviet astronauts saying it was faked, would that say that they were all over it? What would I do? I don't know. I mean, I just, what would I need to believe that the moon landing happened? I don't know. I don't really think about all that much, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm very content in the way I see the world, frankly. That doesn't mean I'm not open up for ideas, but kind of at this stage, it kind of bores me because people show me the issue isn't for me to be convinced the moon landing happened. It's just for people who are aggressively against that idea that I hold. They don't want to see any of the evidence I have seen. They don't. They're like, I don't want to get too deep in this because this frankly just bores me. I just don't care all that much anymore. But we have a video of the flag flying, waving. It goes off camera, and then it comes back on camera. This is just a fact. And it's not because Neil Armstrong walked by it. It's not because the exhaust of the LEM. It's just not. So we have these things, and then what they'll say is, "Oh no, the reason it was waving is because the way the flag was planted in." And I say that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about two different things. But a lot of the pro moon landing people don't want to hear it. And it's okay. At this stage, I just really don't care. It's like whatever. Believe what you got to believe. I don't care. I don't hold anyone's like you're crazy. I literally don't care. I find it funny. Got a lot more things to worry about, and one of the things to worry about is maintaining Social Security, and that's where Right Wing Inc. is just going off the rails here. And so then we get rid of the Republican Party, get rid of what's his name, George Santos, to virtue signal, and now I'm sure Ken Buck voted to get rid of George Santos. I'm sure what's his guy's name, McCarthy there. I'm sure he voted to get rid of George Santos. And they all just leave before the term is up, which leaves the Republicans like a 2-seat, if even that majority. The whole thing. And Ken Buck can kiss my big fat behind. I don't know if you heard about that, but he, a congressman who resigned, he's like, I'm giving you like a day and I'm leaving. I'm like, you suck, dude. I mean, it's like, what? And his when he's being interviewed, one of the things he says, well, I got to start looking for work around here, DC. So he's trying to become a lobbyist. And so he wants to become a lobbyist. And you know who butters the lobbyist bread? It's big government Inc., dude. I could have sworn Ken Buck ran as a Tea Party right winger during the 2010 Colorado Senate race. I could have sworn it's Ken Buck. Anyway, I said, so what happened? I'm almost positive that guy. I'm almost positive Ken Buck. I really don't care that much to look at it, but anyway, so there's a Colorado Senate seat that was up for grabs, and we had a right winger Tea Party guy won the nomination, and he almost won the general, almost. And I could have sworn it's Ken Buck. And if I'm wrong, that's fine. And I say so. Then he didn't win that, but he got enough name recognition to run for Congress. And he won in 2014 when they had the Republican mass turnout against Obama. And turns out Ken Buck is just another politician. And we had Joe Miller, remember, in Alaska, and then I wanted always, because there are some guys who stay true, and I think Joe Miller would have been one of those guys, but they all suck, dude. Well, I completely agree. It's insane how this works, dude. It's freaking insane. Look at Jill. Hey, Jill. Look at Jill. I know what I'm saying. They hate you. I mean, they literally hate you as a white man. That's just a fact. Oh, but Joe Biden's a white male, and he's in office. Oh, come on. I don't want to get you guys. I like reading your moon landing stuff. I don't want to get into it because you guys keep talking about it. I find it fun. You guys are talking about it. I don't want to get involved in that because, like I said, it's just I just don't feel like I haven't looked into the moon landing for about probably about a year or something like that. I'm a little bit rusty on that, to be perfectly honest with you. But I have a whole bookmark of moon landing stuff, which is fun. It's fun, man. I enjoy it. But I have other things of conspiracies. I just don't really care that much. I'm like, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, who knows who owns everything. But there's a guy named Matt from Quantum of Conscious YouTube channel. And a big conspiracy guy. And I completely take with him. He's like, once what happens as you're a conspiracy theorist, he calls it the not milk. That's Clinton backwards. It's like the aura that's out there, the ether, whatever runs the world, basically will give you enough bread crumbs to chase your tail down all these various rabbit holes. Is that doing you any good? Because at some point you just got to say, I have my worldview and I'm okay with it. I'm open for other evidence, but I'm not going to chase more things because it just wastes my time. It bores me. It's not what I'm supposed to be doing. He talks about worry about yourself. Worry about yourself. Do what you're supposed to be doing on this earth. And Matt is not a Christian. He believes in a creator, you know what I'm saying, but not a Christian. And I'm like that. I am a Christian, 100%. But I think at the end of the day, to waste your time on these various, the same thing with like Twitter, hearing these guys I don't care. Like a black guy saying how white guys are bad. You don't see too many white guys saying black guys are bad, but there are some there. It bores me. I just don't care. But I guess one of the things where I'm thinking now is the whole Palestinian Israel thing. So I don't think there's no way that wasn't by design. Now, who designed it? I don't know. But there's no way that Palestinian paratroopers and their hand gliders just no way without being knowledge. I don't know I don't know. I don't care to know. But so I was listening to these Muslims the other day, and my initial reaction is that Israel went way over base. You know what I'm saying? I still think that. I don't like the idea that you can just resettle 1.5 million innocent Palestinians. I get the gist of wanting to get Hamas. I get that, but I think it's overreaction, 100%. I guess that makes me anti-Semitic, which is freaking stupid. But then I was listening to these Muslims the other day, these American Muslims who are new here, and they swallowed because these are college-educated Muslims, not your typical Palestinian or anything like that. At college, and they swallowed hook, line, and sinker the anti-white stuff that colleges are preaching. And they're like white genocide, white colonialism. And I'm like, you never heard of Muslim colonialism, you freaking idiots? You know what I'm saying? I mean, just it's idiotic. And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, I don't. This college stuff is creating the biggest and I'm somewhat sympathetic towards what's going on with Palestinians. I don't like it, but when I hear is this their side? I don't want anything to do with those people either. You see what I'm saying? I don't want anything to do with the freaking Ben Shapiro's of the world. I don't want anything to do with those people either. I just leave them, let them fight it out over there without our money, and certainly without our money, and certainly without our bodies. For heaven's sake, just let them all go at each other and figure it out. Because the anti-whiteism has been perpetuated well before the Muslims came here. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not going to say much more about that, but we know that's been going on we know that Jon Stewart, for instance, John Leibowitz, he says, we got to have the Jews and blacks get together and go after whiteys. Michael Moore, what we got to do? We got to get the Jews and the Muslims to go after white Christians. This is a problem. And I don't want anything to do with any of those guys. You know what I'm saying? Because they all suck. Because I'm white. My kids are white. Whites didn't do any worse colonialization than anybody else throughout history. I don't want to hear anything about it. In fact, if anything, we've been a hell of a lot more liberal. In fact, it's funny because the reason the Indians were able to secure freedom from the British is because I forgot who said it. It wasn't Gandhi, but it's somebody else that said it. It's a British guy. The only reason they're able to do it is because the Brits are basically allowed them. Essentially, because they're not monsters. Anybody else would not have been able to secure their freedom. But because the Brits were westernized white Anglophobes or Anglo-home, what's it called? Anglo-home, whatever it's called. With decency, they did not just slaughter everybody. Now, you could say, who's the guy who went to Congo or something like that? It was a Belgian guy. Some of that did happen. Yeah, well, welcome to the world, man. Some of that's been happening all over the world. I'm so sick of this. Oh my goodness, white colonialism. And I hear Muslims talking like that. I'm like, then get the hell out of here. I don't want you here. Screw that. This is a great land. The fact that you're here and then you're going to what is it that about these people, not just Muslims, what is it about people who come here? What's that chick's name in freaking Minnesota? You know what I'm saying? And she's obviously Somalian, Ilhan Omar. And use our system against the very people who created the system. Why are white people always on defense? This is what I don't understand. Screw all that. That doesn't mean you're like, I just don't. I said, no. You came here under our kindness, and now you're going to bash the freaking country that allowed you to get away from your hellhole in Somalia. Now, frankly, we should never be there ever again. We should never be to Libya. We should never be anywhere. You guys fight it amongst yourself. Israel, Gaza, freaking Hezbollah on the other side, go crazy, man. Should have nothing to do with us. That's what we should do, because this is nuts. All we're doing is creating all these freaking hellholes, and we say, it's our responsibility to open it up. No, it's not. They all can kiss my big fat behind. Jill, you asked a question about bonds. I forgot. Ted says, I guess I'm wrong here. What do we Yeah, 100%, James. There's no way that happened. At least not the way they're saying it. No way. So what caused it? I actually think what caused it is they want to get rid of Netanyahu. Is their version of the deep state. They want to get rid of Netanyahu. I think what they did is they said, hey, if we make this happen, it'll create such a crisis for Netanyahu, he'll have to go. And they might be right, to be honest with you. They might be right. I'm not a big fan of Netanyahu, generally speaking, but I think at the end of the day, he's their kind of like, I don't know how to say they're Trump, but I could see them, they're creating a crisis to do anything they can get rid of that guy. All right, so what's the question? Bonds are bonds, a fixed instrument that pays interest, not dividends. As the price of the fund goes down, the interest percentage changes relative to the price. Yeah, that's right. I mean, no, what I'm saying, Ted's right. A fixed instrument that pays interest, not dividends. As the price of the fund or bond goes down, the interest percentage changes. It's like a dividend. That's the same thing with a dividend. The dividend yield goes up as the share price goes down. The dividend yield goes down as the share price goes up. What's the oh, Penelope, we're going this one right here. No, I got to just chime in here because this is all the people who worked on it must have been in on it, huh, Penelope? And I love Penelope. She's welcome anytime. To Shay Scanlon, anytime. This is just a bad argument. Bad argument. Remember the VW conspiracy? Remember that? Well, all the VW people had to be in on it. All the makers of VW engines and their diesel engines had to be in on it. Remember WorldCom, Enron? How many conspiracies are there? Remember long-term capital management? I don't even know if that's a conspiracy. That's just silliness. But you can use that same example. There's a million different conspiracies that very few people are in on. The idea that all these people, 400,000 people, is what we hear all the time. 400,000 people had to know about it. Why? Oh, man. There's another one by well, we can, just not in my area. There's another one. Who's the guy from Red Hot Chili Peppers? Moon landing was made in the basement. Somebody's basement. I don't know the song. It's kind of funny, actually. The moon, what do they say? Space was made in somebody's basement, something like that. I'm not. The first two Red Hot Chili Pepper albums were good. After that, I lost. All right, I got to see Jill's Bond question right here, so I got to go back to that. I feel like the whole thing is about taxing ultra rich. Just a 100%. I could not agree more. 100%. What about healthcare? We talked about that. I'm not even going to say anything about that because that would be a. What the hell, Jill's question? All right, here we go. Question: bond funds. When yields rise, prices fall. Well, it's the other way around actually. When prices fall, yields rise. So we got to put that. The apple. Not the apple, the chicken, the egg. What came first? Well, in this case, prices fall or rise, and then the yields do. But you still get higher dividends as interest, not dividends. But so what happens here? All right, so let's draw this out, Jill. Do you believe? And by the way, REM sucks. Horrible band. I don't get the appeal of that band at all. Oh, have they had one song that's any good? Oh. Yeah. All right. So always remember. So let's just burp. Sorry. So a bond is issued at 100. It matures at 100. Right. So we know that we're going to establish that premise. You issued a bond at 100. At maturity, you get $100 back. In the interim, you're getting 5%. All right. So 5%. So we're going to take our current yield. I got memory. So there's is it the price over the coupon over price, right? Coupon over price. 5 divided. I got 5 divided by 100. Yeah. All right. So let me draw this out. And I talked about this in my course, Jill. Apparently, you haven't either bought it or you haven't watched it yet. So current yield is coupon. Excuse me, coupon, not yield. Coupon over price. So this is what that's current yield. That's the coupon over price. That's how you get your current yield. All right. So if we have a 5% coupon, the price is 100. Right. So that's what we got in this case. The price is still 100. It hasn't changed though because we just got issued. Our current yield is what? And it's 5%. Right. Everybody with me on that so far? Do you believe we put a man on the moon? Right. Shit. Oh, dude. Shocking that freaking. Actually, I think I did like that song, Orange Crush. If memory serves, I think I did like that one. That song freaking sucks, Pulverizer. You should be banned for even thinking about that. That song sucks. Man, Pulverizer, I'm going to ban you just for that remark. There's another song that's out there that REM does. I'm like, how does anyone like this? Oh, well, now I know because Pulverizer. Shocking. Pulverizer likes REM. Pulverizer probably has a picture of that guy. What's that guy's name? The bald head guy, Michael something. Probably like on his ceiling. He looks at him every night and says, "Oh, Michael Stipe, you're the best. I love your little cute ball head. You're so handsome." Next to him is freaking Pink Floyd, Roger Waters, the other boys. All right, so here you go. So we got that right there. So that's our coupon, and that's our price. So the current yield is 5%. All right. So always remember, current yield is the coupon over the price. All right. So now what's going to happen is we're going to drop the price of these bonds. Remember, the bond always, as long as it doesn't go bankrupt, is going to mature at 100. Always. So the issue date doesn't matter anymore because right now we're going to drop the price down to 90. For some reason, the price went to 90. Why did the price go to 90? Why would again, we're going to assume that this bond is government guaranteed. There's no risk to default. So why would the price drop? What would make the bond price drop by 10%? What's it take? So right now, the bond, which was issued at 100, is now trading at 90. Why would that happen? Those are 2 REM songs I know. All right, good. Well, all right, I'll take it. So you're not banned yet, Pulverizer, but we're keeping our eye on you. Keeping our eye on you. So why would the price of the bond go down? Interest rates increase to cause price to drop 100%. But interest rates on what though, Ted? Did interest rates this drop? What interest rates though? Did the interest rates this? Because that's the interest rate. That's our coupon. That's the interest rate we're getting here. Right. So basically the other rates. So new bonds were issued. New bonds were issued at a higher interest rate than this coupon. So we were locked into this 5% bond, and all of a sudden interest rates went up. And so the same corporations or governments are issuing new bonds at a higher interest rate on new issue bonds, right? 100%. Right on. There you go, Jill. Right on. Absolutely. On new issue bonds. So now you're saying, well, I can buy a 6% bond at 100 because, again, most bonds have a par value of 100, which could be 10,000, but generally it's priced in this term. I could buy a 6% bond at 100. Why would I pay 100 for a 5% bond? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. So to justify, I have to drop. I'm not going to pay. I'm going to pay this lower price because I'm not going to pay 100 for a 5% bond when 100 could buy me a 6% bond. But for a guy who owns that 5% bond, if he wants to sell it to me, he's got to make it worth my while. He's got to lower the price. And there's a calculation that exactly how much that price should go down to. So now we got a $90 bond here at a coupon of 5%. So remember, the coupon is still 5%. So we go current yield equals 5% over 90. All right. So then we take our trusty calculator, 5 divided by 90. And now our current yield is 5.6%. So that's our current yield, 5.6%. So it's gone up from 5 to 5.6. But has anything changed for Jill? Jill bought the bond at 100 with a 5% current yield. Has anything, now her current yield is 5.6. Why would, but has anything actually changed? The answer is no. She's still getting 5 because she bought it at 100. So a current yield only goes to new people who buy the bond. The only people this affects are people who are going to buy the bond now. It doesn't affect Jill because Jill already owned it. Exactly, James. Jill says, I'm not getting a 5.6. And this is a mistake I think a lot of people make. They say, well, I'm getting 5.6. When did you buy the bond? No, a couple of years ago. Well, you're not getting 5.6. You're getting whatever you paid for it. Again, current yield is coupon over bond. You're getting the essentially the yield at the time you paid for it divided by the price per share you paid for it. Now, but bond fund, not a single bond, isn't an average. So yeah, so a bond fund, the same, but so basically what we do is take that exact same model, but you over 1,500 different bonds, exact same thing. So a bond fund is the exact same scenario. Here's the difference with the bond. So I just want to be clear here. So that individual bond scenario is applicable just in multiple cases on a bond fund, Jill. Just because it's a bond fund doesn't change that whole process, except this one thing. This one thing. Any interest you get on a bond fund can be reinvested into the bonds that they buy. All right, so I want to be clear on that. You cannot reinvest if you own an individual bond and the interest you get off it, it doesn't reinvest into the bond. Not like a CD at the bank where you can reinvest your interest or a dividend stock. All right, so if you have a bond fund or ETF, 100%. If you have a bond fund or ETF, if you have an individual bond, you cannot reinvest that income. It goes into your checking account or whatever, or you can go and buy some water. Can't reinvest. A bond fund, on the other hand, yes, you can reinvest the income you receive. So now that 5.6% income, or the yield that you're getting, and we'll use this in the overall scenario here, that would be your new reinvestment percentage. That's your new rate of your reinvestment money. All right, so what we call them, like Ginnie Mae, for instance, they have reinvestment, any kind of bond fund will have reinvestment risk. Reinvestment risk is if I have a 5% coupon, again, that's my current yield, and then the interest rates go down, right? And the interest rates go down. Now the price goes up, so the current yield goes down. All right. So what happens here is I have if the interest rates go down for whatever reason, the Fed cuts rates, excuse me about the price, the interest rates go down for whatever reason. Now the income that I generate off a 5% coupon, I can only reinvest in a 4% coupon. That's called reinvestment risk. When interest rates drop, I do not receive the same income. I have to reinvest it in a lower income paying bond. I hope that makes sense. I'm not sure I'm explaining that very well. So bond mutual funds have reinvestment risk. That you were getting 5%, 5%, 5%. Now the interest rates drop. Now the income that you're investing, because you can invest it back into bonds in a mutual fund or ETF. But now the interest rate has dropped, so you're only getting 4%. That's called reinvestment risk, because you're not making as much money as you were before. The counter to that, which I talk about in my course, is interest rate risk. Interest rate risk is just what we talked about there. The interest rates go up, and now my price per bond goes down. So now I have less of a share price, and I'm not getting more interest for it. It's so with bond funds, you're reinvesting that income, and you should do that, frankly. Now, are they able to, the bond fund magically or ETF magically to reinvest in the individual bonds they own? No. Bonds don't have reinvestment, but bond fund, because remember, if one bond or 100 bonds, it doesn't matter. They all operate in the same scenario. So bonds don't have reinvestments. Now, the bond fund does, because they're, let's say a Vanguard bond fund has $50 billion of assets. Every day they're generating some kind of income. And they're taking all that income and they're going out and buying new bonds. And new bonds will pay whatever new bonds are paying. Anyway, so what happens with a bond fund, when the price goes down on your bond fund, that means interest rates are higher. So you got hit with interest rate risk because interest rates went up, the price went down, and you're like, oh man, I had $100 bond, now it's only worth 90. That sucks. But now, when all this income is generated off your bonds and the Vanguard ETF or mutual fund is reinvesting it, they're reinvesting at a higher rate because interest rates went up. It basically offsets itself, essentially, if that makes sense. 100%. And then we have to talk about duration. Yeah, duration. The higher the duration, the more volatility on the down and upside of your bonds. But just as we, 100%. Could not argue with that, brother. As a Christian, life is easy. Love God and love your neighbor, and everything else fall in line. But with the duration, it goes both ways. Interest rates go up, you're going to get killed, like what happened to long-term bonds. If interest rates ever go down, you'll get a big pop. The longer the duration. But it's actually, I think people should think about it more like a dividend. I think this would be helpful. At least it was for me. A dividend yield is simple. You're getting $2 per share, and the share price is $100. And it just, so a bond is remember, a stock can go bankrupt. A bond really can't. It could, a corporate bond, but not likely. So a dividend, so that's your yield here is 2%. You got 2% dividend yield because we're getting $2 a dividend per share on a $100 price. if the price falls to 50, our dividend yield is now 4%. So we lost 50% of the share price, but we increased our dividend yield by 100%. But no, we didn't. This is only for new investors. We're still getting 2% because this is our, I think Ted's one, somebody said it. Yeah, I'm still a fan of Wellington. Yeah. Hey, look at James. Right on, James. I bought the course love. Thanks, James. Appreciate that. So here, a lot of people think I have a stock that's paying 4%. Like, well, when did you buy the stock? Well, I bought it 5 years ago. Well, then you're not getting 4%. The only thing you're getting 4% on would be your dividend reinvestments. That's it. And you are getting 4% on that. Don't get me wrong. But your other stuff is not, because the other stuff is paying, you only get $2 a share at your purchase price. So again, just like let's talk about the bond, when it pays the income, yeah, you're getting that 4% if you reinvest, but everything else is still sitting at that 2%. And so a lot of people think, oh man, my stocks are killing it. So why? Because I'm getting 5% dividends. Say, are you? Yeah. When did you buy it? 5 years ago. You're not getting 5%. You might be getting more. You might be getting less, but you're not getting 5% now. Yeah. Look on the Yahoo thing. It says paying 5%. Yeah, but that's paying 5% for people who just bought it. And you're just buying it when you reinvest your dividends. Don't get me wrong, but it's a fraction of a share. Not that big a deal. Yeah, some bond funds do call it dividends. That drives up the wall. I hate that. In fact, even the credit unions call it dividends for their money markets and their CDs. That drives up the wall. Let's see. Portfolio day 30 footnote. So I'll have to look at there. When do they think they'll begin to cut? I thought June. I could see them push it back to July. I just think it's got to be when the inflation rates start going back down. And inflation rate jumped this last month, man. The PPI came in. I think I did a video on that short one, those short ones. But the PPI came in hot, way hotter than they expected, way hotter. And the consumer inflation was up higher too. So until that starts going down again, I mean, it's going the exact opposite way. So right now, I don't think cuts are I don't even think they're thinking about it until we start seeing that on a consistent basis for sure. All right, so we got 30-day yield. All right, so Fidelity's 30-day has a 30-day yield of 5.15 and a distribution yield of 3.84. Is that misleading? No, because what's happening, the 30-day yield is what it would have paid. It basically takes what it paid over the last 30 days and it annualizes that. So that's literally the most recent yield. The 3.8%, the 3.84% distribution yield is what it paid over the last 12 months. And so inherently that would say, hey, over the last 12 months, we paid 3.84. But the last 30 days, if we would have analyzed the income we paid out, it would be 5.15. The issue that comes to 30-day SEC yields, it's not, I hate to say misleading, but some ways it could be misleading. Sometimes there'll be a special payment out. And at USA, this happened once, 2009. One of our short-term bond funds had a special payout. I can't remember why. And it made it jump to like 7%. And people were calling in, buying that fund as like, it's not, you're not getting 7%. But it says the 30-day SEC yield is 7%. It's like, we just had a special payout. That will go literally 30 days from now, they'll go back to normal. Don't buy this bond thinking you get 7%. You're just not. And I'll never forget, people did not believe us. And I was like, dude, trust me, it's a special payout. I forgot what it was, but it paid a couple bucks a share or whatever it was, and it had a 30-day SEC yield of 7%. Very misleading, but that was literally the 30-day SEC yield. You analyze the 30-day SEC yield, and you say that's what it paid out. And it did. A month later, it's back down to 2.5, whatever it was. I don't think they're going to cut anytime soon. I don't. I think probably they're not going to cut for at least 3 months now. They're going to see probably 3 months of consistent PPI and CPI numbers going down. I actually don't know if they're going to see that, to be honest with you. We'll see. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, man. Rather they hold the same rates for long term, so people aren't so credit dependent. I tend to agree with that. Let's not have the freaking this stuff. It's you can't plan one like that. I had no problem if they keep it at 5%. That works for me. All right, well, I guess that's pretty much it, man. It's been 2 hours, but God bless. Appreciate. Let's say quick prayers, huh? Let's thank the good Lord for allowing us to gather together. Let me just get rid of this thing right here. Heavenly Father, we just glorify you. We try to glorify you in all we do. We obviously fall short. We're just so grateful that you offer forgiveness. And if you can forgive us, good Lord, the creator of all of humanity, all the universe, why can't we just forgive ourselves? Give us the power to forgive ourselves for our misdeeds, because there have been many. I know I've committed my fair share, well above my fair share. I've done many things not to glorify you, Lord. I'm so grateful of your forgiveness. I'm so grateful of your patience with me, of you sending your only son, Jesus, to suffer and die a horrible fate on a cross so that he would open the gates of heaven for us. Lord, I'm not worthy of your love, but yet you give it to me. I'm not worthy of your forgiveness, and yet you give it to me. I'm just so grateful for you, Lord. All glory to God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, so get out of here, man. I'm getting a little bit tired. Look, I'm tired. I'm like Stone Pablo. I'm Stone Pablo. Yeah, so just just love your neighbor, man. It's tough, man. I tell you, it's tough. Sometimes you just get pissed off. Like I got a neighbor right here, freaking asshole. Pardon my French. I'm just like, dude, like doesn't wait. Like it's like, yeah, I can't stand the guy. I'm not lie to you, but I don't hate him. You know what I'm saying? You can't hate. You can't hate. And I just don't like him. I wouldn't hang out with him at a freaking ball game. I'll tell you that right now. I'd hang out with Ted. You know what I'm saying? But I even hang out with Pablo, even though Pablo hates America. But I hang out with my Asian guy in South Dakota. Even Rick. I'd even hang out with James, his puppies. Devil was around every corner, 100%, man, 100%. I'd even hang out with Jill, as long as she brought. Yeah, I don't get that. How did wave? I don't. If you're, how do you not wave to your neighbor? I'd hang out with Jill as long as she brought some Waterloo vanilla stuff. Night, Brad. Brad's already going to bed. He's probably. Yeah, that's funny, man. I don't think he likes anybody. Pablo's retired. He's cool. 100%. No, he works for AT&T. As a matter of fact. Yeah. We got simply forgive. Oh, hey, simply forgive. You're good looking. Glad you're on here. Yeah, I like having good looking black ladies on my channel. That's fantastic. Always great information, righteous thoughts. Look at Broken Arrow playing the guitar up there, strumming that sixth string. I think it's a sixth string. Look at Broken Arrow. Man, I like having Simply Forgive on here. That's a nice. It's good to look at. Nice, pretty lady. So who'd you rather look at, her or this guy right here? But not James. Her or Broken Arrow? Simply Forgive or Broken Arrow? Look at that. Do I know that she's black or a lady? I don't, but she got a picture up there, so I'm assuming good. I'm assuming that she is. And then she said great prayer, so she might be a bot. What I'm saying, they're both. Yes, I am. Yeah, I know, Ted. Look at that nice smile. I tell you, there's nothing better than a good smile. I don't know why. One thing I tell my kids: look at that smile. That is just gorgeous. Oh man, she's good looking. I'll take the Broken Arrow, said Jill. Look at Bruce. Look at Pam. So when I tell my boys, I said, man, make sure you're. Yeah, Josh is. I know. I said, tell my boys, just make sure you're smiling. Look at Broken Arrow. It's a match made on a 5-string bass. James knows what's up. I said, just make sure you're smiling at the ladies. All these guys say they want to. Oh man, Simply Forgive is not a bot. You're good looking, Simply Forgive. We like having you on board. Appreciate you being here. We are all blessed for Josh's entertainment. Oh man. Anyway, I tell my sons, I said, just smile. Girls like when you smile at them. Because too many guys walking around like I used to do this. I hate it. Like back, I'm like, oh, can I just smiled? You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah, smile. The ladies like it. Smile. It shows confidence. Show them pearly yellows. Yeah, my kids don't have pearly yellows, though. Not like me. Look at my pearly yellows. Of course, they look a little bit whiter when I got a yellow t-shirt on. No, they're still looking yellow. Oh, boy. Yeah, I'm going to get out of here, my friends. God bless. See you guys next week. Appreciate it. See you. Yeah, even DB Douglas says, yeah, he'll say simply forgive over Broken Arrow. I think we're all in agreement there, except for Jill. Because Jill's a lady, if that makes sense. It looks like Broken Arrow's a lady too. So I think Jill, she's like, yeah, all good, but there's only one direction I go, if that makes sense. All right, see you.